Jens Nordvig joins us now, the founder and CEO of Exante Data. Jens, let's start there. A coiled spring, two-year yields going into Fed speak yesterday. What did you make of that pushback from Fed speakers across the country?
I think they essentially just reiterated the message they've been trying to send over the last month or two. And the reason why we had such a violent move was that we had a very dramatic rally in fixed income over the last few weeks. And it was a reversal of the reversal, if you will. I think that the big issue we have in the market is that the Fed is not about to pivot. And it's the same issue we have for many central banks around the world, right? Inflation is so high that it's just too early for central banks to come out and explicitly signal something new. But at the same time, the growth data we're getting is soft, right? So the market is kind of looking through what the Fed and other central banks are saying right now and saying, okay, they will have to pivot. So it's kind of this tension between what they're actually saying and the market trying to think just one step ahead of that, or two.
Jens, I got like 14 questions. Let me devolve it down to what OECD just said. They just handed us double-digit developed world inflation, where it's out at 10.3%, announced moments ago, up from 9.7% and 9.2% and 8.8%. You get the theme here in the recent months. We've got this global inflation. What is the dollar dynamic if we're ever so lucky as to get U.S. inflation from a 9% down to a 7%? Does dollar move?
Yes, I think what we've seen over the last 2-3 weeks is that we have this incredible tension between the weak growth I mentioned a second ago and then the fact that the long end of the U.S. yield curve is reset lower, right? So the dollar has kind of been stuck between those two things.
Yeah.
And I think from a medium-term perspective, you will often find that the big cycles in the dollar are really determined by the global growth cycle than anything else, right? So it's sort of hard to see if we don't have any green shoots in the global economy, it's hard to see the dollar really weakening dramatically. But we can have for a couple of weeks a big reset in the yield curve, and that tactically moves the dollar around. And that's exactly what we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Jens, yesterday we were talking all day about Nancy Pelosi visiting Taiwan. Is this going to be a game changer, not just for geopolitics, but for markets? And we saw a big reaction the first part of the day in yields going lower. Then the job voting from the Fed sent it the other way. Is this going to be a lasting story for markets, or is this going to be a blip on the road to whatever's going to happen with the economy and Fed speak?
Yeah, I think the big issue that I speak to about with Exante Data clients and everybody who's involved in the market is really, okay, exactly where is inflation going to land, right? And I think in coming months, we're going to have a situation where goods prices are going to come down. We all know that gasoline prices are down in the U.S. That's going to impact headline numbers. We can actually see it around the world that the July inflation readings that we're getting are a little bit different. But that's not enough for the Fed. The Fed needs to see that on a broad basis there's something new going on with inflation, i.e. lower, meaning services prices. So it's going to take some time before we can have conviction that there's something really different going on. And I think it's going to be a really, really difficult period for the Fed where they're going to judge, okay, headline is coming down a bit, but services prices is still very sticky. How do they handle that? That's why the market is trading so erratically right now.
Jens, just quickly, favorite trade right now, what is it?
Well, so you need to be very, very careful with your entry points, but I do think there's some rate markets where even if we had some retracement yesterday, there's too quick a pivot price. So for example, in European rates, we think even if growth in Europe is weak, there's going to be a need for the ECB to do meaningful steps to get off negative and get into positive, and that's been priced out too much.
Interesting. Jens Nordvig there.